Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Ryan Styles Harris, and today we're going to do a Q&A. A couple days ago, I posted a question, or an open invitation, if you will, to anyone that had a question on a Facebook group online. It was the Team Associated Nation, I think. It's kind of like one of the only RC groups that I'm in, and I felt like it was gonna reach a bunch of people and get some questions. Anyways, so if you guys have questions in the future, you can drop a comment on this video or wherever I post the next announcement that I'm gonna do one, and then I'll go over your question like I'm about to do with these questions. Let's dig into it. I'm gonna answer as many as I can. If I don't get to yours, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this video shorter than like a billion hours long. First question, Anthony Zach. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so that you guys see what I'm talking about. What is your YouTube channel? Well, that's a little redundant because if you're already here and then you're watching this now and then, yeah, so it's here. Phil Fernandez says, discussion about roll centers, when to adjust it, how to adjust it, advantages and disadvantages. Now, Phil, I'll be honest. There are a lot smarter people out there than myself that can give you a fantastic answer to this question. I don't think that there is a magical setting that's just going to work on any track or any setup anywhere. And I don't think that that's what you're implying in your question, don't get me wrong. Most of us out there, if you have never played with this before or you're afraid to or don't know how to, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna link a couple videos that have been around for a while and do an excellent job at visually demonstrating what roll center is and how to adjust it and how it affects the car and all that stuff. Watch those. After you watch them, this would be my challenge to you guys the next time you go out to the track. Let's just say that setup A has it one way and setup B has it another, okay, and they're different. Try setup A and then go try setup B and then see which one works for you. I think that that's the most important thing that we can do as racers as we try to progress our particular talents and driving styles. You start to see that sometimes certain setups or certain opinions might not apply to you based on your driving techniques. So I may do a future video that is a very in-depth discussion about this, but for now, check those videos out and then just head to the track and test it out for yourself. I hope that answers your question. Will Hogan, how you originally got into the hobby? That's a good question. When I was a little kid, probably, I think that there's pictures of me when I was like 2 or 3 years old. My dad got me just a little, Tyco RC car from like Toys R Us or something. And I apparently loved it so much that he eventually, when he saw that I could drive the thing without completely destroying it, he put a radio in my hand to one of his personal RC cars. And then I think I was about 6 or 7-ish. I got my first car. It was a Losi JRXT. And I raced that thing at all the local club races. And we did a lot of on-road stuff too. We were right next to the Tamiya America track. And I raced a lot of these Tamiya cars that you see back here. And that's why I still have them. Oh, and all of those radios too. Those are all the Futaba radios that I've used throughout the years. So it's kind of like a visual, this is how I got into the hobby. Hope that answers your question. Gage Bridges asks, SC5M compared to the TLR, which one would you prefer, and if one is more modern than the other? So I know that in my videos from earlier this year, I was running a short course truck. That is the only short course truck that I've ever owned, so I can't speak to the other ones. I've seen some of the TLR guys go fast with the TLR trucks, and then I've seen the SC5M go fast too. So I really don't know. I can't answer your question. I think that it's one of those things that whatever you like, because I've heard guys go back and forth on the 2.0 versus the 3.0. It kind of, they suit different tracks or different driving styles. So get the best feedback that you can from the interwebs and then give one of them a shot yourself. Or if somebody has one at your local track, ask him nicely if you can drive it yourself and see if you like it. Alex Mack asks, getting a 2-wheel drive car to have more traction in dirt. I know some people can use that. We all want traction, right? Always. Getting a two-wheel drive car to hook up in the dirt when it's a low bite situation, there's tons of different things that you can try and do depending on which buggy it is and which track it is, because not every setup technique is going to work at each track. However, there's a couple things that you can do at each track and every single car, and those are the 2 points that I'll give you. Point number 1 would be get the right tire. If you don't have the right tire, you might as well have the worst setup in the world, even if it was the right setup. So get as much feedback as you can from your local track. If there's any local pros there, ask them, hey, what tire do you think is going to work? If nobody's around and you're still left out on your own, maybe you can go jump into that website that I have in my description. That's a link to all of the different setups for pretty much every car out there, and then see if there's one at your track. Worst case scenario, if you don't see anything by your particular car, look at one of the other brands and see if they have something from that track. At least the tires will probably be the same, even though you won't be able to get much from the setup. Point number 2 would be ride height. Just make sure that your ride height is appropriate. If it's a bumpy track, it needs to be a little bit higher. If it's really smooth and high bite, well, then you can probably lower it a little bit if you want to. But again, play around with it, see what works, check out those setups. I hope that helps. Gray Malcolmus, I hope I said that right. Strategic weight adding. Ooh, that's a fun one. So if you have watched my Super Cup video from Lake Park earlier this year, if you watch that entire main, on the last lap, in the last corner, headed to the front straightaway, I was in second, the guy was in first. Before I finish the detail of that story, what you have to know is I was running a laydown transmission in my car because I thought that the day was going to end when it was still sunny outside and the track had a lot of bite. So running a laydown, thought it was going to be great, it's going to be perfect. Well, the night slowly, gradually pushed just past that, and then I ended up experiencing a little bit more of a loose track because moisture had kind of attracted itself in a lot of the really grooved up areas, and it was actually kind of slick. So then my laydown transmission was kind of maybe not the hot setup, and I possibly could have benefited from a stand-up transmission. Well, it was a control tire, couldn't change my tires, didn't have enough time to swap all that stuff over. So what I actually did was I put weight in the smack dab right under the battery in the center of the car so that it would kind of just force it to stick a little bit more to the ground. And it actually ended up working. I was a little bit more confident coming out of the corner. Long story short, first place car, he came out of the corner because I was right behind him and he got squirrely. I came out of the corner and I was perfectly planted and I motored right by and we got the win. So might not always work out to that extreme of your favor, but that's something that I did to strategically add weight to my car. So there you go. Chris writes, how about you go through your cars and show us how they're set up and what changes you've made from the kit setup? So that is a very in-depth question and it would involve a lot of different things. And I will do a video that is kind of specifically geared towards that in the future. But for now, I'm gonna have to skip it because it's too much information. Just know that it's coming. Ryan Herrera writes, I'm looking to buy a Futaba radio. Why do you use Futaba? So that's true. That's a Futaba radio right over there. And all of the radios up on my shelf are Futaba. It's the only brand of radio that I've ever used. I can't really say that it's because they're way faster and that's what makes me win. Not really. I just like the way that they feel in my hand. A lot of drivers, they're very particular about the ratio of where the steering wheel is in relation to the trigger, the resistance or like the spring tension in the wheel and the trigger. Different radios have different feels, so just go whatever is comfortable with you. I'd say it is 99% just driver preference. Hope that answers your question. I'm going through as many as I can, and I'm doing the best I can, guys. Hawk Matthewman, hope I said that right. In terms of lap times, how much better are the expensive receiver transmitters compared to the less expensive ones? I think that a lot of times we'll get caught up, and it could be anything in life, really. You get the cheap stuff because it's all you can afford to, just get out there and accomplish whatever goal, task that is. And then there's always more expensive versions of that stuff, and some of it will make a big difference, some of it won't. Is radio and transmitters one of those? Some of them do communicate on a slightly faster communication, technically speaking. Does it really translate into half a second or a second faster lap times? No, absolutely not. I think that somebody like a world championship driver might be able to argue a speed difference there, just barely. But for most of your average club racers, I think that it's one of those things where if you're between spending, a lot of money on a radio versus another season's worth of tires, I'm going to go with the season's worth of tires every single time and just get the radio that's going to work and get you everything that you need on kind of like a entry level. So hope that helps you figure out whatever you're trying to upgrade or spend money on. John Henry writes, speed control and radio settings, how they work together because some are redundant. Yes, that's true. So what I like to do is on my speed controller, I put all of those things at their max. Like for example, brakes. I don't dial the brakes down in the speed controller. I keep it at its full power. And then in the radio, if I want to go down from 100 to 75%, it's just a matter of pushing a button a couple times on my radio, and then it's literally on the fly, and then you can adjust it back if you didn't like it. Whereas if you were doing it in the speed controller, technically you would get the same result, but it's a little bit more difficult because then you have to go back into the speedo, recalibrate it, and then go back out on the track. So you're right, some of it is redundant. Max out, get the most potential adjustability kept in the speedo, and then do as much of the adjustments as you can on your radio. So there you go. Fritz Croy, I watched some of your stuff on YouTube. Thanks for stopping by, man. What made you decide to do an RC channel, and who do you watch most on YouTube? So I have been watching YouTube for a long time. I enjoy watching YouTube stuff in general way more than I do like television or something like that. So YouTube for me has been a great resource for all kinds of aspects of my life. Photography, video, editing, all kinds of stuff. It's all come from YouTube. One of my favorite channels currently is Peter McKinnon. He's really good with video, photo, and editing tutorials. And then he has this great balance of just kind of like lifestyle mix into it, and he's got a great personality on camera. I really enjoy watching him. Casey Neistat is kind of like the godfather of YouTube at the moment. He kind of revolutionized the whole vlog thing because he was doing it before YouTube even existed, and now he's just kind of plugged his thought process into it now that it's a thing, and he's kind of shaping the industry, if you will. I watch a lot of other random things, fitness YouTubers, gaming channels, stuff like that. But the ones I mentioned are going to be the ones that influence how I kind of shape and develop this personal channel here. So I hope you guys like it. Let's see, Lucian Flemister? Is it necessary to discharge nickel metal hydride batteries? What? Who's still using those things? We have lipos and all kinds of cool stuff. All those other batteries were back what I used in the early 2000s and late 90s. I'm glad those things are gone. To answer your question, I remember, oh gosh, I had like several discharge trays, and I would always discharge them completely if my memory serves me correctly. But I would definitely encourage you to go to the interwebs and seek out what they say about it, because I'm not a nickel metal hydride battery expert at the moment. It's been a long time since I've had to use one of those things. John Dash, this is gonna be good. He commented, discuss the importance of getting in your opponent's head as you enter the driver's stand. Sneeze a bunch, wipe your nose, then shake your hand. Talk about getting into the clinic recently and the doc doesn't think it's contagious. Place emphasis on holding a full-on conversation about politics or finances around the 4-minute mic if you are behind. Maybe other tactics that would work well for old guys. Yes, John, if I'm on the driver's stand and you're standing next to me, I will use all of those things that you just mentioned. That's not really a question. Seems more like a suggestion. Yeah, good luck with that. Kyle Madden commented, what is your favorite part about RC as a hobby? I really like that question. Thanks for leaving it. I think that my favorite part about RC is just getting to connect with the community. It's so cool that I can go up to Savannah, Georgia, or I can go down to Miami, or I could go somewhere to California and be able to connect with a totally new group of people to me and instantly just kind of have this nice little bond about RC cars. And we could talk about tires or bodies or whatever the case may be, and we could have a lot of fun together. I find that really cool and really fascinating. So it's kind of what drove me to make this YouTube channel, is because I just want to put content out there that we can all enjoy together and we can talk about and just continue to develop our passion in the industry. So yeah, that's my favorite part, is the community. Kyle Predmore asked, did Jason Rona have his pants on during the how to get sponsored video? Wouldn't you like to know? Joe Hill commented, what to upgrade first? Okay, I'm gonna take it that we're talking about just the kit, like the chassis and those components itself. The first thing I'm gonna look at is there anything out there that is kind of like all of the fast guys are immediately getting like this particular part? Like for example, in the B64, that's why B64, I know that if you're running in the 13.5 class, one of the best ways to reduce weight and its rotating mass at the same time is to switch over to the plastic gears in the diffs. They're pretty cheap. I think that they're less than like $10 a set. You just need 3 sets of them, and then you rebuild your diffs, and it shaves off an incredible amount of weight. And then it makes the car a little bit more responsive. You have a little bit more acceleration. It's not going to work as hard, so you technically might get a little bit more runtime, so on and so forth. So that was like an immediate upgrade that I made to that. So perhaps it could be the same with most cars out there, is that if there is a immediate like weight savings, handling improvement like that, I'd say that that's where I would look first. All the shiny stuff as far as like titanium screw kits and carbon fiber this, carbon fiber that, they may benefit, they may not, but at the end of the day, I think those are mostly for looks. So, and I have them on my car because I like the way they look, and they do save a little bit of weight, but it's not a tremendous amount. So hope that answers your question. If not, drop a comment and maybe I can address it for you further down in the comments. Christopher O'Leary, he wrote a longer question here, and I'm just going to paraphrase it real quick. He commented and said, the best way to catch up on current stuff in the hobby for returning enthusiasts, and he goes on to explain his situation. This is a great question, Christopher. Thank you for asking. It's a situation that I found myself in when I got back into RC earlier this year. All the battery technology was completely different. My charger wasn't relevant anymore or functional. Let's see, all the motors were different. All the cars are different now. All the rear motor stuff for the off-road stuff is gone. All the stuff is mid-motor now. Okay, that's kind of cool. So there was a lot of different stuff out there, and it was really cool and exciting, and it just took me a while to wrap my brain around it and see what was going on. If you haven't made the jump back into it completely yet, and you're just kind of thinking about it, the first thing I'll say is that maintenance is like, comparatively speaking, it's almost non-existent. I haven't cut a single motor. I haven't had to do any crazy stuff with my batteries. I haven't had to do any of that weird stuff that we used to have to do to keep our cars fast back in the day, or during race day, or during prep, before the next race. So what I would say is, if you haven't reached out already to your local track community, do that. See what everybody is running, so that if you have any questions about a particular motor, how to gear it, timing, blah, 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 battery, how to get them to work well, they'll be able to give you some information, hopefully. If not, then YouTube is a great place to see that stuff. Drop a comment down below if you have an even further specific question. I'd be happy to answer it for you. So hope that answers your question. Well, that's fun. Thanks for asking those questions, guys. In the future, I'll probably put out like a Facebook post or another comment in a Facebook group somewhere when I'm getting ready to do another Q&A. And then if you guys have any questions, drop those comments in there and then I'll be happy to go through them. So I hope that those questions were helpful to more than just the people that asked them and that there was some information in there for all of us. If you have any questions that you'd like me to address, drop a comment down below. Be happy to answer. But that's going to be it for today's video. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.